Vegan.
We have reached the part of the podcast. We're going to be talking some NFL Week 4, and who better to come on than David, aka Better DP21. David, how you doing today, my man?
Doing great, man. Been kind of world traveling, kind of ready to settle in for weekend football here. So looking forward to it, and glad to be back and starting up our series on a weekly basis for football here together.
Now, for those who don't know, David and I did a weekly baseball show. My two big futures going into the year were Tigers plus 300 to win the AL Central. They've lost 8 in a row, down a game. Jays plus 1,600 to win the East, and guess what?
They're tied.
They are tied. So my futures are falling apart. And normally we'll record this on a Friday afternoon, but Mr. Slim over there has to go to a pumpkin patch tomorrow afternoon. So we're recording this on Thursday. So if there's any injury news or anything going on like that, take it with a grain of salt. This is coming out we're recording this on Thursday. Before we dive into it, let me ask you a real quick question.
What's up?
If there was a trend where that is 69% ATS and the same team has another trend that backs them to take them at 58%, would you take that team?
Possibly.
Okay.
I mean, depends on the form, but yeah, I mean, the numbers seem to agree, obviously. So,
boom. I just talked to you on the Saints plus 16.5 with me. Let's ride, buddy. Let's ride, dude. Let's ride. Did you see the dude in Circa came out? The guy in Circa came out and he said that he expects over 50% of the entries to have the Buffalo Bills.
No kidding.
I mean, so I'm going to take a
public.
Stand.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a stand. I mean, I know in Circa we went with a team, and like you're probably going to shake your head when I tell you the team we went with, but last week in Circa we went with the Chicago Bears. Got it done easily. And we're just trying to save those bigger teams to have toward the end of the season. Like we want to save your Bills. We want to save the Lions. Like that's what we're trying to do with our entry. So at the beginning of the year, the first month or so, we're going to use those bottom tier teams with good matchups. So, but just I'll get to the team I'll use because I have a bet on them a little bit later. Those each have 4 bets, and David does a side and a total. I do a player prop and a side. So let's jump right into it with David's first bet.
Yeah, so first one that stood out to me based on my model and everything was actually the Eagles versus the Bucks. So surprisingly, I am taking the Bucks on the money line at plus 170. You can get this number at about 3.5 right now. If you enjoy playing points, I always say this to Eric every season, right? Football is a money line sport disguised as a spread sport. So bet on the team that you just want to win. 80% of the time, they're going to win and cover all the time. You can go down every single week over the past 3 weeks. You can pretty much just check what I'm saying. I think every team that won and covered last week was like 14-2. I mean, the numbers are there to support what I'm talking about statistically. But again, taking the Bucks, the reason for this is mostly due to the Eagles' defense. Their rushing defense, the VOA rankings, they're number 27. Passing defense, number 19. So, I mean, they're looking like Swiss cheese, and they've proved that over their first few weeks here as well. Obviously they had a nice comeback against the Rams. A little more lucky than good, I think, in the end. But those things play out the way they should. But at the same time, the Buccaneers on the opposite end, they have a overall top 8, if I'm averaging things correctly, defense. Their rushing defense is number 2 in my DVOA rankings, number 15 passing defense. So, they have some pretty good shutdown corners. Their interior is obviously stuffing, winning the line of scrimmage there against any opponent. So, I really like the Bucks at home. for the Eagles coming off a pretty emotional victory. Obviously, one of the last, there's only so many undefeated teams, my Bills included. And, that being said, I also love the Buccaneers offense on the other side. They have a top 10 overall passing offense, led by Baker, going against, like I said, the Eagles, passing defense being, closer to number 19. So they're bottom second tier in terms of passing defense going against the top uh, third tier, passing offense in the Bucks. And to top that as well, the Buccaneers are starting to find the rushing game, but that's kind of a split, in my opinion. I mean, the only way the Eagles really make any kind of headway in this game that I can see is on the ground game. That's their strongest, asset, obviously between both Barkley and Hurts. But they're ranked number 10 overall, going against number 2 rushing overall defense. I'm going to give defense a little more weight in this game. I don't, and I say it the opposite is true when I was, saying MLB, on a weekly basis. I always said offense was better than, pitching. I never worried about, defense, pitching in terms of MLB. But when it comes to that football, I weigh defense more in favor of those teams. So, again, Bucks kind of under the radar. Obviously, they've won every single one of their games as a, comeback with 2 minutes to go in the fourth, to come back and win. So pretty narrow margins here in terms of the spreads and everything else. And, again, I'm just betting on the team to win. I think that's the Bucks in this case, based on everything I'm seeing. My model actually has them winning by a field goal. So it's about a 6-point edge compared to the Bucks line. And I just really like where, this is at, because you got, two 3-0 teams facing off against each other, and I like the one at home with the better defense, a little bit better offense to come out on top.
And also, Nolan Smith has been ruled out. He went on IR for the Eagles. Lane Johnson exited the game early. So there's definitely some injuries going on in the Eagles. And more importantly for the Bucks, it looks like Wirfs, who's probably the best left tackle in the game, is going to be back for him. So it definitely helps your cause. My first bet, I'm going to Drake London over 65.5 receiving yards. Leads the Falcons with a 26% target share. Commanders give the 11th most yards per game to opposing wide receivers, the 4th most yards after a catch. London will be going against the Commanders secondary that is 22nd DVOA, defending wide receiver ones. Last year in a game at, I don't even know where they play. I was going to say RFK, but they don't play at RFK anymore. Wherever that dump that the Commanders play in, he had 13 receptions.
Maryland.
No. What's the name of the stadium though? That's
FedEx.
FedEx. 13 receptions, 100 yards. London's per target efficiency is wide receiver 10, 6.6 yards per target, 59% catch rate. He is due for positive regression. He has not had his elite game. I think against this Washington secondary, I think this is when he is going to get it. When we look at it, Lattimore, 91 out of 102 cornerbacks in coverage grades. On the other side, Saranskill, 95th out of 102 cornerbacks in coverage grades. This is just a great matchup. And another thing that really stands out is London plays better indoors. For his career, indoors, he averages 92 yards per game. Outdoors, he averages 68. I think this is a big Drake London bounce back. His shoulder injury they sustained in the first week game against the Bucks should be all healed. I'm going to go Drake London over 65.5 yards receiving. Next bet, my friend. And before you go into this, the loser of this game is going to be 1-3.
1-3. I know.
And if you're 1-3, historically speaking, there's only an 8% chance you make the playoffs.
Yep. I'm all over that, man. I've been saying that to friends all week. I'm like, I can't wait to see which one of these teams falls to 1-3.
I mean, some of us have the Chiefs plus 380 not to make the playoffs.
Okay. So, I like that a lot, actually. But yeah, so jumping into this game, obviously I'm looking at Ravens versus the Chiefs. I'm looking at the over total in this game. It's a big number. It's at 48.5. However, these defenses are pure trash. Rushing defense for the Ravens, number 30th ranked overall. The Chiefs, rushing defense, number 22 overall. And these are both DVOA rankings, all DVOA rankings when I'm speaking in these numbers. Passing defense for the Ravens, number 21. The Chiefs, number 16. It's about the only as good as it gets right there in terms of defense for them is actually the Chiefs having a middle tier, pass defense to interrupt anything. So, what am I saying on the opposite end here? Offensively, passing offense for the Ravens, number 2. Chiefs, number 13. They're going to throw the ball all day against each other. They can even run it. I mean, rushing offense for the Chiefs, number 12. Ravens, not as great, number 21. Other than week 1 for Henry, they haven't really ran the ball very well. So that being said, I can see the Ravens, throwing it all over the field. Obviously, I think Lamar is going to get outside the pocket to actually run around a little bit further. I think Mahomes is going to be able to do just the same, even with, Pacheco and Hunt back there for himself to, get through their rushing defense, and then throwing it around a little bit as well. So I can just see this being a back and forth game all day long, scores galore. There's just no defense between these teams. And that's why one of them is going to be sitting 1-3. So, they have the offense, they just haven't had the defense and I didn't get to take a look at this in advance, but I know that for sure with the Ravens team that they've scored over 4 touchdowns a game. And that's what we're asking here for each of these teams is to get, each of them over 4 touchdowns. And I see that being no problem whatsoever for either one of these teams, against each other. So just something that I'm looking at is just, again, pure numbers defensively. These teams are not in good form. Offensively, they're all over and they're throwing the ball all over the field and running the ball over the field. So I can definitely see them getting in the end zone quite a bit here. Each of them has a lot to prove. They, as you just mentioned, playoff, future playoff contentions are already this early in the season for them. If they fall to 1-3, it's a very dire, spot for one of the teams to be in looking ahead. So definitely that consideration situationally, everybody's going to be out there to play hard. So looking forward to it to see one of these teams fall to 1-3, but taking the over in the meantime.
And Lamar ran for 122 yards last year in this matchup, which is absolutely absurd. Maladoke, the defensive lineman whose name I just slaughtered for the Ravens, when he's not in, the Ravens give up 2.5 yards more per rush. So they're going to be able to get that run game going, which is good. Xavier Worthy is trending in the right way, like he could be coming back, which gives a needed shot in the arm for the Chiefs offense. I like this look. I think this is going to be high scoring. I think they're going to be able to get up and down the field. I don't see either defense. I mean, your comment, these defenses can't stop shit, is just straight on. These defenses are just right. My bet, and let's get ready to drink some bleach because no one is going to bet this. And this is my Circa Survivor. I'm going with the Raiders, dude. I am going Circa Survivor. I'm going the Las Vegas Raiders.
Good luck.
Cowboys were moving the ball last week. Had 4 turnovers, all deep in. They had 3 turnovers inside the red zone, and they lost CeeDee Lamb to injury. Bears defense, 24th DVOA overall, 22nd against the run, 26th versus the pass. Now they're going to play this Raiders team on a fast turf inside Allegiant Field. Williams struggles with the pass rush. Cowboys have no pass rush. Now he's going to go face Max Crosby, and the Raiders' edges are going to make a tough day for him. I think with the Raiders are going to be able to get the run game going. Javonte Williams last week for the Cowboys looked like Javonte Williams during the UNC games when he had 2 good knees. He was running all over that Bears front. Right. Bears also are without their top 2 DBs. Now, when we look at Geno Smith, he excels in indoor games. His last 3 seasons with the Seahawks, 13 games indoors. He had a 6-to-1 TD to INT ratio, a 110.8 passer ranking, 66 completion percentage. Now, when we look at him playing outdoors, he had a 3 TDs to 1 INT. He had 43 TDs to 31 when he played outside. Inside, 30 TDs to 5 INTs. So it's just amazing how much better he does when he plays indoors. Passer rating, 89.7. These indoor conditions suit someone like Geno Smith. Bears have numerous defensive injuries, giving Smith a huge uptake. I live here in the Chicagoland area. Everyone's talking about we are back. Those guys that had Caleb Williams as the next Patrick Mahomes are doing victory laps right now, saying he's here. They just played the worst defense in the league with no pass rush, who was banged up in the secondary. Now you're going to go play this Raiders team. And for as much shit as everyone is giving the Raiders defense looked good against the Patriots. Commanders had a couple big plays that swung that game last week. I think they're going to look to get Gentry the ball, especially in space. I don't think they have anyone to stop Browers. Trey Tucker is going to be able to extend the field, and you have Jacoby Myers working underneath as well. I absolutely love the Raiders here in the spot, especially, dude, coming off that big win. I mean, they killed them, but when you kind of go back and look at it, if the Cowboys don't have those turnovers, I think that game is a lot closer than people realize. So I'm going to take the Raiders on the money line, minus 110. Now we each have a player we like to get in the box for a nice juicy plus 985 parlay. Why don't you go first, dude? Why do you like, who's the player and why do you like him?
Yep. So looking at Dalton Kincaid for Buffalo, the tight end going against the Saints. Main reason is, again, pass defense that I'm looking at here. The Saints are ranked number 28th in their DVOA rankings. Obviously, they're a little bit better against the run in terms of rush defense. They're actually at number 10, surprisingly. So pretty much I could see them, stuffing Cook a little bit. I don't know how effective that actually looks like, because Cook has found his way through pretty much every single defense to start this year. So but at the same time, Kincaid's really been involved. I can definitely see flashes of him and Khalil both finding their way underneath and on the outside. Kincaid's been finding ways to get open and release, definitely from the line of scrimmage, often and early. So again, big target, especially when you get down to that red zone. Finding him on the outside is definitely Josh Allen's forte. So definitely something I'm looking for, especially out of the pass defense. Look for those big bodies in the end zone. Kincaid's going to be one of them. I definitely look at him as getting through and into the end zone for a touchdown.
Mine, I went to Dublin. Give me TJ Hawkinson. The Steelers have allowed the most touchdowns to opposing tight ends this season. The 20th DVOA defending the tight end in the passing game. Went for his career a 23% target share going to the tight end position. Last week, Hawkinson led them in targets, second in yards, second in receptions for the Vikings. Wentz in his career targets tight ends in the red zone 31% of the time, which is absolutely insane. And when we look, the Steelers are going to have 3 guys that cover the tight end. It's either going to be McQueen, the linebacker, Wilson, the linebacker, or Elliott, the DB, is going to drop down. Now, when we look at their PFF rankings, McQueen, 30.1 coverage grade. That's 61 out of 65. Wilson, coverage grade of 29.8. That's 63rd out of 65. Or Elliott has a coverage grade of 63.2. The only thing with him, limited data size, hasn't played enough snaps to really qualify for a rankings position. So you got to take that grade with a grain of salt. I just think it's a great matchup for TJ Hawkinson. So our TD parlay week 1, we're going to track this. We're going to see at the end how we come up. We're going tight end central, dude. And it's not national. Yeah. It's not National Tight End Day, is it?
It is now.
It's not National Tight End Day. David, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I hate to disrupt your pumpkin patch planning, but why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media, my friend?
Oh man. Yeah. So anybody at any time, feel free to look me up, Instagram or on X, BetterDP21 is my handle. Happy to kind of, give any insight I can in terms of the matchups that we have on the board for the weekend. So appreciate the time as always. I'm glad we're kicking this off. Let's go tight end central. Let's get this cash parlay and let's start off with a win.
All right, man. Best of luck in your bets. Let's go Saints and let's go Bengals. And we'll talk next week, my friend.
Let's go Bills.